It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission really to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Angela. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about business barriers, blessings, and breakthroughs. What barriers are out there? We got to figure that out. What's going on, Angela? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey.
Well, thank you so much for being part of the show. Shout out to Josiah who connected us, by the way. And thank you to viewers for tuning in, whether you're cooking right now and maybe we're playing on your laptop, by the way, or maybe you're taking a walk and you're in the gym and you're listening to us on the podcast, or if you're on one of our streaming platforms. It's an honor to be a part of your home today, wherever you are. So thank you. Now, I got a question here. You got business barriers, blessings, and breakthroughs. I guess the first question I have is, from your view of the world, why are people still struggling to be happy or successful in today when they have TikTok? They can get them excited and motivated. They've got Instagram. On any given day, they should just feel like they're motivated. Heck, they got AI that can write their plan for them for the day, encourage them for the day, yet they're still struggling to be successful and fulfilled. So I guess my question to you, and I know it's a broad answer, but why are people struggling these days, man? They're just not as happy as they used to be.
Right. I'm not sure if it's the way they used to be, but definitely the more we know, the bigger the struggle. And to answer your question, I think that most people are still struggling because we cannot put success on top of things that are unhealed, unresolved, misunderstood. And that lack of healing keeps us in these spaces and places, even though we can go a little bit and come on back. So people with lots of money can still be in spaces and places that don't feel good and don't feel successful. People that are successful in how they ebb and flow in this world can still feel the ponder of that. When you're unhealed, success doesn't seem successful a lot of times. I believe that. That's my thought.
No, well, that's what we want. We only want your thoughts. We just want your thoughts. I love that. You mentioned heal. Heal means different things to different people. Take a moment when you said people haven't healed from maybe something in the past, I'm assuming, or trauma. What does healing mean to you? And what does this look like these days? Just so we can all understand.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for asking for clarification. Healing to me looks like the ability to be able to encounter something or even someone and still be able to grow and move past that. People that are unhealed encounter things or people, situations, circumstances, and they're not able to move or grow through that. So in my mind, those are people that are unhealed, and that could be in a variety of different ways. It could be something that is financial, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be spiritual, it could be with your family, it could be with a partner, it could be with yourself. Those things that keep you from moving forward, there's usually some unhealed parts of who you are that keep you from those spaces and places. That could show up in a lot of different areas, but the biggest place where you will know it is your inability to grow, inability to be able to move past or to grow through something. That usually is a great indicator for there being something that is unhealed.
I love it, by the way. Spot on. And I know y'all are wondering, who is this person? I know you're curious, what's her backstory? You're like, she's saying all these great things, but I didn't read her bio, okay? Right now, I had a long day. Some of you had to take the kids to school this morning. Some of you had to get up and cook for some family member. Some of you had other responsibilities. Some of you had just a really long day. And you're like, I don't know this person. Don't worry. We'll get to her in just a moment, okay? We'll tell her backstory. But I'm curious. She talked about healing. She talked about what it looks like. If you were speaking to someone right now that's listening saying, man, I'm going through some things. I want to break through on the other side, but I'm going through some things. I'm asking for counseling, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm curious, what's 1, 2, or 3 things you would say to that person just tuned in right now and they're like, I need a breakthrough. What's something that she would recommend that I should even do? Where should I start? I have no idea. What would you say to that
Well,
person?
I have 5 things, and I call it my A game, because you cannot change without bringing your A game. And the A game is you being aware of what the challenge is, being able to acknowledge and accept that as being a challenge of yours, being able to accept that this is what's happening, and then to be able to take action into making that thing better, either elevating yourself or decreasing a behavior. And the last A is aftercare. So you got those five things. You have to be aware, accept, acknowledge, action, and aftercare. And that's how you change. Literally, it's not an easy way to do it because you still have to do the steps, but that's a great blueprint, if you will, for being able to change.
Spot on. Bring your A game, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking behind you, and they're saying, Shay, who is this person? And the question is, if you don't mind, who are you? We'd like to know your backstory. And then what was that defining moment that you knew that you were born to do what you're doing now?
Ooh. Well, my name is Angela Harvey. I my people call me a growthologist. I teach grown folks how to grow up. And I started doing that just by one, being a social worker. I have a master's degree in social work. I've been doing motivational speaking, personal growth advising, hosting retreats, and helping grown folks grow up for over 25 years. Have created a ton of workshops. I do team building, staff development training, and a lot of personal work with people one on one. That's it's what I love to do. It's my ish, and it's definitely my what I call my assignment. And I believe we all have an assignment. I believe our gifts and talents are ours to open, but they're not ours to keep. And so a part of what I do in this life is to go around sharing my gifts and talents with other people. Um, when did I? I think not. I think I know. I know that because I am a stutterer and I was a bigger girl than what I am now. I know that I was assigned to do this work when I began to step in spaces and places that were clearly uncomfortable for me on the outside, but there was something. There was a calm that happened for me on the inside. And even though I would be afraid to do something, there would be what I call this medicine that came out of my mouth and helped heal people and healed relationships and resurrected spirits and all those types of things. And although then it sometimes makes me uncomfortable, I know that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I do it now without hesitation. It's still with a little anxiety that comes with it. But I absolutely love, love, love what I do. And I believe that it's been effective. I believe that I've empowered and enhanced and entertained and motivated, can I say hundreds of thousands of people at this
Yeah.
point? And and the fact that I've grown to love it, and I don't stutter as much when I'm dispensing medicine, and I'm not insecure when I dispense this medicine, and so I do it, and I do it gladly, without pause.
Well, if the person is part of the Stutter Club, I get it. So it's
Yes.
good to see you acknowledge that she's being so authentic. She's being so vulnerable. If you don't mind, you talked about helping grown folks grow. A question I'm going to ask is, how does someone take care of themselves when they're responsible for everyone else? Let me tell you what I mean by that. A number of our audience are dualpreneurs, by the way. They work a full-time job and they're full-time entrepreneurs. Some of them are husbands, some of them are wives, some of them have relationships, some of them have kids and their kids have schedules. Some of them are like myself, they're a caregiver. They got another layer added on because they're a caregiver. Others, by the way, are involved in their community or other activities. And there's someone I know is listening saying, Shay, you ain't even get started on my list of things I got to do. And so she's talking about breakthroughs and barriers, but I don't have time to take care of myself. What would you say to someone like me that I've got the desire, it's down inside me, but I'm so busy helping everyone else? I don't know if this makes sense to you, that I haven't had time to take care of myself. Again, I know it's not a therapist session, ladies and gentlemen, but you want her opinion, I'm sure. What would you say to that
Absolutely.
person that's watching now?
What I would say is that there has to be a mind shift, and we've all been talked about the putting your mask on first. But here's a way for you to have a greater understanding of why that's important. The purpose of putting your mask on first, which is thinking about yourself. Currently, what I do now is I do me first, and everybody and everything else has next. Why is that important? It's important because as a person that has a full-time job and is helping grown folks grow up and has a fur baby and has family members, if I'm not breathing right, if I'm not at near 100%, if I'm not at a full capacity, if I am at a deficit, those things can't be done well. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Because if I'm able to be healed and whole, putting me and doing me first, that means I can give to 17 other people. But when we do that and we are not where we need to be, we've not done us first, and you get to a place where you do you first and you do you without apology. If you think about it, I tell people all the time, if what you're asking me to do is to, I'm not telling you no, I'm saying yes to me. And that should always be, and we should do that without pause and without hesitation, because you being able to do you first and take care of you first is always going to leave you at an advantage. It will never be put you at a disadvantage. However, there's many people that could probably tell me the disadvantage of putting all those other things first, all those other people first, all those other situations and circumstances first, and not putting themselves first. And so we've been taught the opposite. It's not nice. You got to be this, but I promise you, your relationship with yourself is the most important thing that you can ever have, because it takes that to develop all the other relationships that you need in this lifetime.
Spot on, man. I like it. Thanks for sharing. As you was talking, there's another area you have on here, which is kind of have business breakthroughs. And I know you work with poets, but I think the principles are the same, maybe across different industries. And I'm curious, by the way, for the person that says, well, I'm ready for a breakthrough in my business, by the way, I'm ready to get going. And their struggle has been, we'll talk about two people. We'll talk about the person that's struggling just to be consistent. And maybe in the business, consistent writing their content, or maybe in your case, writing poetry, but they're struggling being consistent in the business. What's one or two ideas you would have for that person?
Well, consistency. Well, let me first say this. The difference between our personal and our professional is going to always include us. In both of those spaces, you take out you and the equation kind of falls apart. So I want people to be clear, although I could be speaking about a personal, it sounds personal because it sounds like therapy, or it sounds like a counseling. Be clear that you are personal. And if you are in your business and you need to be consistent, that is going to take you doing some personal work still. Consistency in business in my head is going to come down to not just about how you ebb and flow in your world, but also your dedication. And again, I'm going to go back to the personal, your dedication to yourself. And so I could tell you that you should maybe make a list, or I could tell you that you should maybe have an accountability partner. But the biggest place where you can be most consistent is really and truly considering you, and considering your relationship with yourself, and considering your relationship with the activity or the what would you call it, the career path that you've chosen. Why are you there? I know that I'm able to ebb and flow consistently because I know the purpose of me being here. I know that there are certain people and places that are waiting on the medicine that comes from my mouth to get to them. And that absolutely is a driver for me to be consistent, for me to take every opportunity that I get to be in front of people, because we don't know who we've been assigned to. We don't know whose life we've been put here to change. We don't know what corporation or company we've been sent here to manage. And so therefore it's important to be consistent. Again, that comes back to you being personal with yourself, and you really and truly taking care of yourself as if your life and other people's lives depended on it. And be unapologetic about those things. And those people, we show up and we show out on purpose with intention, and it flows the way it's supposed to. So that's what I would say.
She says, show up and show out, ladies and gentlemen. She's just getting started. This is amazing. And now some are watching and saying, Shay, is a perfect segue to a segment we have here, by the way, Angela, called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what day it is, you already know what we're about to do. You can go ahead and say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Now, for all the new folks, Happy New Year. And for all the new folks who are watching for the very first time, I want to know what in the LL Cool J is Shay Brown talking about over there, okay? Today is my January 1st. Is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Angela on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And then number two, what was a setback that you had in your life, if any? Life's been perfect so far, ladies and gentlemen. She's just helping grown folks be grown. Maybe she had a perfect life. We're going to find out. But was there ever a time there was a setback in your life? And then how were you able to use these skills to bounce back yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I happen to believe that my life has been set up in a way that allows me to be transparent. So January 1st, this is January 1st. And if I'm speaking from a business point of view, initially when I started helping grown folks grow up, I wanted to help everybody, like everybody. I wanted to help everybody. So I pushed back and was very, let's just say I pushed back from the niche. Like I did not want to do that. I didn't want to go Black. I did not want to go woman. I did not want to go LGBTQ. I did not want to go. I wanted to do everything and everybody, and nothing that anyone said to me could get me to narrow my focus. And I think that was some of my challenge that absolutely prevented me from getting places sooner than I actually could. Some of that setback for me on a professional level looked like me definitely not reaching the amount of people and the quality of people. And when I say quality, meaning sometimes you can sit in front of one person as a therapist and you see 8 people throughout the day. And then there's times where I could be in front of hundreds of thousands of people because I'm speaking to a wider audience. I absolutely could have gotten to that place sooner had I been able to just kind of sit still and be okay with not helping everybody, not wanting my extreme people pleasing, AKA codependency, wanted me to help everybody. And I didn't want to hear it at all. Like, you have to narrow your focus. You have to narrow your focus. What I know now, coming from one of the greatest challenges in my world, and that was me experiencing heartbreak. And that heartbreak not only took me out, but took out my business literally for the span of, that right behind COVID. So in that interim, I had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to feel and a lot of time to be with me. And I had to give those things some thoughts like, okay, Angie, how is it that you could have come this far? I was 15, 20 years into this thing. How is it that you don't have X, Y, and Z? And all of it didn't equal money. It equaled a following that was faithful. Why? Because I was all over the place, doing everything with everybody. Remember, what I know now is that when you're able to focus and you're able to help a certain amount of people, those people talk about you behind your back. So you may not be speaking to, or everybody may not be in the audience, but absolutely what I have the belief now is that if you speak and you speak effectively and move those people then do your job for you. And they go tell 2 people. I'm not sure how many people will be old enough to remember that commercial. They tell 2 people and they tell 2 people and so on and so on. That breakdown in my personal helped me with the breakdown in my business, which helped me be in the place I am now where I know how to focus. Now, it brought me a book. Poetic Alchemy was definitely birthed out of some of my heartache. It's a poetry self-help book, but it also gave me a platform. Look at there, like something I didn't know I needed, a platform to be able to speak to people about resiliency and about intentions. The name of the book is Poetic Alchemy, 7 Intentions for Healing, Growth, and Transformation. And you can use that in your personal, you can use that in your business, you can use that in relational, whether it be family or partner or spouse. And without my permission, that setback, that heartache took me to a place where I was able to kind of be broken down, only to be built back up, and now focused on the spaces and places where I'm supposed to be. Yeah.
Wow, I can feel the energy coming through, ladies and gentlemen. She's got the book. We're going to find out how you can get the book and how you can get everything she has in a moment. Incredible, but she can't leave us hanging. She said, hey, she's got 7 intentions. Now, I don't want to give us all 7, but we're curious about one intention. I mean, you can't just drop and say, I got this book over here, and it has 7 intentions. And any one of these intentions will get you on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, she didn't do it purposely, I promise you. But don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to ask the question for you. I know you want to know. I want to know too. Can you share one of the intentions? And y'all got to get the book, okay? She can't give it all away. But can you share one of the 7 intentions that someone that's watching right now can take and, benefit from?
Absolutely. Probably one of my favorite intentions is the application of knowledge. Because I do believe we have a vast amount of knowledge out here. And people will say, oh, I read that book, or I've listened to that podcast, or I heard that sermon, and oh, it was powerful. But we don't teach application. In my mind, that should be a sin to dispense information and not teach people how to use it, how to apply the paint. If knowledge is paint, I tell people, unless you apply the paint, the color of your world never changes. So application of knowledge is one of my intentions. And I believe it's so very important because until you learn how to apply the paint, literally you can't change anything. What we just talked about for the last 10, 20 minutes is really being able to inhale the knowledge from this podcast. And how can I have this podcast make things different in my business, in my personal world, in my life? And you absolutely have to know how to apply the paint, applying the knowledge. That is it.
I love the energy. You have a heart to give. You have a heart to serve. It's truly just amazing listening to you. I can feel the fire and joy coming out of you. I'm curious, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? I mean, you seem to be having fun. You seem excited. You said it's not about the money. So I'm like, well, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
Probably what I enjoy most is watching those aha moments, watching a CEO of a business who has hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, but I'm able to say something and do something that makes him think and feel, that brings him closer to the relationship he needs to have with himself. So watching those aha moments, watching people get it, watching people grow, like literally sometimes you're able to see it right before your very eyes. And I'm able to do that with my transparency, by leading by example. I don't have to minister to anybody. I could literally just do what I'm doing on your show. Show up, tell my story, and I guarantee you, when Angie Harvey speaks, shift happens. And shift is going to always happen as long as I'm being transparent. And so that piece is probably the most profound for me. If growth was $1 million, I am absolutely a millionaire 100 times over, because I have watched and seen and been a part of people growing and ebbing and flowing all over this world. And that's what makes me keep growing. For
I
sure.
love it, by the way. We're talking about business barriers, blessings, and breakthroughs, by the way. You talk about blessings. I'm curious, by the way. It's one of my favorite questions to ask, and we have a few moments. We have a couple of minutes now, and that is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're not asking to come off the mountain with the 10 Commandments. That's not what we're asking here. And she's probably read more books than she can remember these days, probably watched more videos. I don't even track the hours of videos I watch anymore. I'm sure you had lots of mentors along this journey. But if you had to step back and say, man, here's one of the best pieces of advice someone gave me that I want to pass on to the audience, what would it be and why?
It would absolutely be to consider, no, I'm not gonna go with that. To grow with your gut, because your gut is 99.9% right. And anytime we go and grow against our gut, there's gonna be a setback. And so that was probably one of the most profound things. Many of us have guts, we have instincts, we have those premonitions, whatever you want to call it, discernment. Many times we need to be able to ebb and flow with that. I happen to believe that your gut is of God. And so I have learned to trust it and to move with it instead of moving against it. That would probably be it for sure.
I love it. We're looking behind your shoulder and we're curious. We can see, you got some things up there. It must be very important to us. So do you mind giving us a tour? We see 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of paper back there. I mean, we're all curious. So tell us about, what do you have behind us and what's the significance to you?
Absolutely. When I started my business, it was Let's Talk University, and talk is together acquire lasting knowledge. Let's Talk branched into something now would be the umbrella, and that's Angie Harvey Speaks. That is me being able to do the things that I do with regard to my speaking career. Out of that came, and again, all of these are multiple layers of ways to help grown folks grow up. I've not ever deviated from that. And then I have a book, a poetry self-help book. Poetry I wrote in a very hurtful place, but it also catapulted me in a place to be I was able to be healed and transformed. And I said, God, if you allow me to come back from this, I'm gonna go get everybody that needs to feel this and heal this. And that's where the book came from. The adult coloring book came from. I spent the pandemic alone, coloring saved my life. And so it wasn't just me coloring, it was me being able to meditate, me being able to focus, me able not to be able to focus on all the things that was negatively happening. And so I took 50 of my most famous sayings. My favorite is, I refuse to be a first responder to folks that set their own fires. Right. But I put 50 of my most famous sayings in the coloring book and actually created that myself. And it absolutely is helping people. I now have a curriculum around it. Again, that platform I talked about, the place I did not want to go because it was too little. Yeah, the platform is now holding me up. So that's the tour. Let's Talk, Angie Harvey Speaks, Poetic Alchemy. And then the other book you see back there is Transformed Hearts. And it actually is just a poetry book. Initially, I didn't want to call myself a poet because I haven't been doing poetry all my life. And to me, I know a lot of poets. But then I made a decision that, Angie, you can't write 37 poems and have a whole book and not call yourself a poet. So I took all of the poems out of Poetic Alchemy and just had a poetry book for those people who just like poetry and didn't want to, do the intentions. And that's where it came. That was a great business decision, though.
That was a wonderful business decision. I love that, man. This is what you're doing is really amazing. I love it. Thanks for taking us behind the scenes and giving us a peek what's on the other side of your shoulder. What does success look like for you these days? I mean, it means different things, different folks. You said it so many ways, but I love how you have that blessings as part of the title we were going to talk about. So I'm curious, number one, what does success look like for you these days, and what does it feel like?
Right. Well, here's what I'm going to say, and this is probably, my friends are going to be trippy about this. I spent most of my career saying I didn't want to be rich and I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to be rich because I didn't want people to be coming, I had a people pleasing problem. So, you just didn't want that. And I didn't want to be famous because I just always just want to be me and who I am. I haven't had it where people couldn't even introduce me when I came to speak because I just wanted to be able to do what I did. Well, now I have a desire. Success is going to look like me being able to obtain certain abundance, some certain blessings that are meant for me, because I know now what I can do with my notoriety and what I can do with funds is a bigger blessing to the people that I choose to bless. And I think that I blocked my blessing for a very long time. Success is going to be me allowing things to unfold in the way that they were meant to be and me not getting in the way.
Exciting stuff. I love it, man. What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world? Helping people, grown up folks be grown ups. What do you do for fun these days?
Well, I have two grandchildren that are my heartstrings. I love spending time with them. I have a fur baby that I absolutely love. But to be really honest with you, it's funny you would ask this question. I really and truly, I think I live and inhale helping grown folks grow up all the time. And I find it to be fun to create a program, to create a curriculum is not, if people knew how little work it was, they probably wouldn't pay me. But it's fun. So it's not that it's a little work. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and that's what I do for fun. I help grown folks grow up for fun too.
Yeah. Well, that's why they want to work with you, by the way, because you're not going to say crazy, but it's the weird folks like you that love what you're doing and you're so passionate about it. Like we can feel it really coming through the power of these fiber optic lines. And that's really, really amazing. Take a moment, if you would, as we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, where should folks go to connect with you? What's the website? Where can they go? How can they get the books? Like, tell folks how they can connect with you, please.
Absolutely. I am looking to work with companies, corporations, or individuals that are have a desire to help their employees and or their leadership to be able to be elevated so that they can be more productive, so they can be more able to they call them human. Oh, I can't think of the word. Anyway, we're not going to dwell on that place. Anybody that's looking to be elevated, I tell people, if you're looking to grow, I'm someone you should know. You can find me on all social media platforms under Angie Harvey Speaks. My book is on Amazon, and it's called Poetic Alchemy, Colorful Growth. But all of that, you can reach every place that you need to get to me from my website, which is angieharveyspeaks.com. And again, if you're looking to grow, I'm someone you should know. And when Angie Harvey speaks, shift happens. If you're looking for some shift, get at me.
I love it, by the way. That is so amazing. Let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was definitely my pleasure.
Thank you. And shout out to Josias for connecting us. Thank you for watching, by the way. Thank you to viewers, by the way, for inviting us into your home to be a part of this evening with you. We appreciate it. We don't take that for granted. If we're on your cell phone right now, hey, thanks a lot. If you're in your ears, we appreciate that. Even if you're driving down the road right now and you're walking your furry one, she says she has a furry one. Maybe you're out on a walk right now, you're listening. Thank you so much. And I never get tired to remind you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that you really are amazing. I mean, you really are this special person. This is no hyperbole. It's not no hyper stuff. It really is amazing that you're here for a reason to make a difference for someone else. And no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really well and you can't wait to get to that next gear, or you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming, the one thing I believe is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, it hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. We out here, everybody. Peace. Thank you so much, Angela Harvey. Talk to you later. If you want to grow, you know who to know. She's funny. I love it. Out.